We go. And we're live on the Stables Network.
You're listening live to ATL Prime Sports, coming to you from Atlanta, Georgia. I'm Todd Corder with JJ. Today, the NFL plans to have the regular season to be played in full, and the Miami Herald reports from sources that the Miami Dolphins are trying to trade up with the Cincinnati Bengals to acquire the number one pick in the NFL draft. What a day in sports. I'm in for Stephanie Stallworth. JJ's with me here in Atlanta, and Breck is on the boards in San Francisco. You can catch us on social media on Twitter at ATL Prime Sports. You can catch myself at Corder Todd, at JJ Get You One, at Stephanie at ATL Traffic Lady, and Mark at Mancini Sports out in Los Angeles. You can give us a call at 678-280-7123, 678-280-7123. We have one guest this evening at 8:45 p.m., Debbie the Texan, actually the ultimate Houston Texans fan. We'll get into her story later on during the show. You don't want to miss it. This show is about you, the fans. So if you call us at 678-280-7123, JJ and I will be glad to bring you on. Just give your first name and the city where you're from. JJ, a big day in sports, buddy. I'm glad to have you with me here this evening, as always. And what do you think before we get into the headlines? You know, the NFL was pretty staunch today about, having the regular season to be played in full and the draft will go on. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good. It's optimism. We need that. It's pretty doom and gloom. I'm already getting a little, honestly, I'm kind of getting a little antsy for some sports action. I'm over here watching the replay of the 2016 Game 5 of the NBA Finals. So, I mean, I am just dying and jonesing for some live sports action. So I like it. I like the optimism of Roger Goodell and the NFL owners. I think it's great.
Well, here's something to LaJuicia. I said it a minute ago about the Miami Herald's report that the Fish are trying to go up to number one from the Bengals, and that means they want to acquire Joe Burrow, that they'd pass on Tua. What are your thoughts on that real quick?
Well, I think they're trying to acquire what they think is the best quarterback in the draft. A lot of people
and the one that's helped
the number one overall quarterback. And I don't blame them. I think a lot of people are scared about that hip injury, whether you like it or not. It is a hip injury, but Miami going up to get the number one pick to try and get their guy, it's not shocking whatsoever, but I doubt that will happen.
Well, I don't know. The Bengals could get as many as 8 picks. So that's what the sources are saying in the Miami Herald. I tell you what, that reminds me of the Dallas Cowboys years ago, getting rid of Herschel Walker, sending him to the Minnesota Vikings and getting a boatload of picks, what led to the triplets and led Dallas to the Super Bowl. JJ, you got some headlines for us there.
Yeah, of course. One we all kind of saw coming, just more coronavirus aftermath. The Canadian Football League postponed their start of their training camp. Thoughts, TC?
As we've been saying all along, who could see that coming? Who could see this coming? No doubt about it. Safety is the utmost concern, and you know what? I'm sure the NFL will monitor that and see what the CFL does.
It's a good move. It's a necessary precaution to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Hopefully, the social distancing measures will take effect sometime soon. Hopefully, we can get back into sports. I'm like I said, I'm jonesing for some live sports action. I mean, I can't tell you how many old games I've been watching. It's been fun to watch some of the old games. I was watching some highlights of the first game back from the 9/11 incident when there was the Braves versus the Mets, and Piazza hit a towering home run in the 8th inning to give them a 3-2 lead, and eventually I believe they won the game. But it was the first event back from 9/11. I can't imagine what the first sporting event would look like, whatever it is.
Yeah, the Mets and the Braves
were going to be fun to watch.
the Mets and the Braves were the first sporting event back, and the Mets did win that ball game 3-2. You are correct. What's your next headline?
Wimbledon has also recently posted that they are canceling the Wimbledon Championships. This is huge. This will be the first time the event has been canceled during peacetime. The last time it was canceled was due to WW2, World War II, folks. Next year's event is scheduled for June 28th to July 11th. In addition, both the ATP and the WTA made a joint announcement that all events at all levels, both pro tours, male and female, are canceled through July 13th. UEFA Champions League as well. So it's just more and more sports being canceled for the foreseeable future. TC, your thoughts on Wimbledon being canceled?
My thought is that that's obviously the right move to be played in 2021 at practically the same date as it would have been played on this year. One more headline, correct?
One more headline. You are correct. Out of the doom and gloom comes some positivity. Cristiano Ronaldo and the Juventus Football Club will forego $100 million in wages to go to virus relief efforts. Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the richest athletes in the world, his Juventus teammates and coach Sarri agreed to forego $100 million in wages last Saturday. It's going to go to assist relief to assist in relief funds to Italy's Civil Protection Agency. So good move, a little bit of good coming out of this. You're starting to see Italy take a turn for the good. Hopefully some of this money can be put in the right direction to maybe get a vaccination going, experimental procedures, things like that to start getting people healthy. So kudos to Cristiano Ronaldo, Juventus, and the manager of the football club.
I agree, man. A lot of NBA players stepping up with donations, the owners, and et cetera. Arthur Blank here in Atlanta, making sure that the employees are paid with the organizations that he owns, the Falcons and United. A lot of players are stepping up, prominent players helping out in a time of need. JJ, this is the show of the fans. So we got a couple of callers here. Let's go to Double T in Atlanta. Double T, welcome to ATL Prime Sports.
Well, it's very interesting times, and I was looking at the other day that when the Braves won it all in '95, that was also a shortened season. Do you remember why?
Yeah, the strike in '94
why.
continued into the '95 season. They had replacement players going down to spring training in '95. And at the beginning of that season is when Tom Glavine and all the other Players Association, they came together on an agreement to get players back down to spring training as soon as possible.
Well, that's right. In '94, gentlemen, that's when the strike happened in August of '94. The Montreal Expos were 6 games up, led by Felipe Alou and company. They were 6 games up on the Braves. It would have been interesting to see if the Braves would have came back and won the division title. We'll never know. But JJ's correct. In '95, they started the season late. They played a 140-game season, and they beat the Cleveland Indians in 6 games on Tom Glavine's 8-inning one-hit gem. So yes, that's the last time that baseball started the season late. Double T, what else do you got for us?
Well, that's right. In '93. Now, that was the year that the Braves blew it in is that the year they lost to Toronto?
Yep.
Oh, in the World Series, correct. Yes.
Yeah. And then they came. At any rate, but I was just trying to pull up the Braves website here, and I was just going to see, what I clicked on buy tickets. And I was just going to see what game pops up first, which might be the first one that they might be thinking about scheduling. And so we'll see what that. I don't even have it.
Hey, Double T, I'm sorry to correct you. We made a mistake. And the Phillies were eliminated by the Phillies eliminated the Braves in the '93 ACLS. Joe Carter and the Blue Jays eliminated.
That's right.
In '92, and then of course '91, it was the Twins in the series. So the Braves lost back-to-back World Series those years and lost to Philadelphia in the NLCS. I wanted to make sure that I had that correct.
Yeah, it's coming back to me now. It really, yeah, you're right. That's right. 92 was the Toronto thing with the upside down flag. Right, there you go. Well, what I did, now I don't even chew on this a little bit, went on the Braves website, and the first home game they're showing is Tuesday, May 12th against the Red Sox.
Oh, wow.
Now,
I don't think it's going to happen.
Do you think that means anything? Well, no, I don't think. Well, golly,
no
I mean,
chance.
no, I don't. No chance if they're not playing by the end of April. There's no way.
No chance they'll be in spring training at least 3 weeks. They said there's no chance for that to happen. None.
Yeah, but see, that's been moved back. The first time I clicked on it, looked at their website a little while ago. They had April the 18th. For a starting game. And I'm seeing some of these articles saying, there's going to be baseball and Thanksgiving, and there's going to be baseball. Yeah, I don't know. But my question is that how many games do you have to play to have a representative season? 120? Is it 100? Is it what is the number?
That's a very good point, Double T, and I'm glad you brought that up. And I'll harp on it like this. I've heard propositions say if baseball doesn't come back till June or July, if it gets postponed that long, maybe play a 70-game season and 35 to 40 of those games just be round robin in your division. You have a division winner, you play your 1-game play-ins, you have your wild cards, and go from there. So maybe that's a possibility, but I do think that is a great point. That's probably the next question that's going to be brought into fruition.
I like it, don't you? I like it.
Played. Because the same
but can you really do that?
NBA players who are going to miss out on, like, I think it's 25% of NBA players are going to miss out on checks if the regular season's canceled. So that's a quarter of the league that's going to miss out on game checks if the regular season is canceled.
Hey, let's go back to Major League Baseball just for 1 second. I've heard proposals as low as.
I wasn't done with my point. But
I was going to say. Go ahead.
Let me finish my point, because what I'm saying is the NBA is starting to talk about the amount of games when they do come back. The NBA is going to have to start talking about the same thing. So what's going to happen is they're going to start presenting tournament plays, seeding tournaments, things like that to try and get as much of a regular season in as possible. We'll see. Those are going to come into fruition real soon.
Hey, JJ, they're talking 5 regular season games for the NBA. That's the number that's been thrown out. They're talking they can do it a 32-game regular season baseball season. If they had to do it, they would go as low as 32 games. That's
That's what I've heard too.
Yeah, but what do you do with the schedule that's been set? So if you have a short regular season, you're going to have to play only within your league, right?
That's correct. I agree with that. I think so. I do. But you know what? If it's a 32-game regular season, to me, it'll emphasize if it is a 32-game regular season, it'll emphasize pitching more than ever. In the relief pitchers will be huge. They might even be bigger than the starting pitching because the starter pitchers take longer to get back than the relievers do. So
but I have to feel they're going to start by July, though. I have a feeling that there's going to be baseball in late June and July, and if you do that, then
you get more games in.
Yeah, so when that would be about 80 games. Is that right? 85, something like that.
Yeah, if you played double headers, right, JJ?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, and that's what we were just all kind of harping on. What is the number? That's going to start throwing around. You said it, 32, playing all divisional games. TC, I heard you throw it. I've heard some people say 70 games. I've heard 65. We'll start hearing a more defined number here and there. Double T, any final thoughts for us? We got a couple other callers on the line we're going to get to.
No, I just think that there will be baseball in the warm weather. I think it's going to start by June. I really think it'll happen, and I think you're going to see about a 90-game season. I hope we'll go from there. Okay.
Double T, I really would take that. Thank you so much for calling. Really appreciate it. We've got Lou on the line in New Jersey. Lou, welcome to ATL Prime Sports with TC and JJ.
Thanks. Okay, well, in response to the last question, first we got to see, how much, before it gets in like June or July. Where do you start from? Do you start from the who you're supposed to play originally, or are you just going to pick it up from where the schedule is, like at that point, like in July? So that's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
because I look at the schedules in advance.
Yeah, that's another good point. I mean, what are you going to do? And then these conversations will again come into fruition more and more over the next couple of weeks when I think we see the coronavirus take a step back. When we see the curve go down a little bit, maybe 3-4 weeks from now, hopefully, I'm being optimistic. Maybe it's longer. If it's longer, obviously we're going to but I'm being optimistic here. I'm tired of the negative. So I'm going to try and be optimistic here. Hopefully in 4 weeks, the social distancing can take into effect. Hopefully we can beat the curve, and hopefully we can start having these conversations.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point, Lou.
Because, not to be insulted, but 32 games is not really much of a baseball season, to be honest with you.
It's not. It isn't. It's like a college baseball season. It's actually it's less than a college baseball season.
Yeah.
It's like an abbreviated minor league season. I know some minor league organizations that they will have an abbreviated season if they don't get started at the end of May, because a lot of the minor league seasons finish up in August.
They're abbreviated anyway.
College kids got to go back to school or higher organizations in the minors. Players get moved up and et cetera. So, the scheduling will be something that they'll deal with then. What else, Lou? What else is on your mind?
I mean, it is a challenge, to be honest with you, yeah.
It will be.
Yeah. And, of course, you think that Atlanta has a good shot to, win the division this year if and when the season does resume?
Yeah, I like the Braves to win the division. I think they got the best young talent, the best young duo that is in the game, and Acuna and Albies. So you counter that around Freeman, Ozuna, and all the other power in this lineup. You're gonna start to see some results really quickly. I think the Braves will score more runs this year. I think the real X factor is going to be the two additions of the veteran pitchers. What does Cole Hamels bring to the table? And what does Felix Hernandez bring to the table? Because believe it or not, Felix Hernandez has the most wins on opening day actively in Major League Baseball, which was kind of a surprising fact to me when that was brought to my attention. Because that
number is 8, correct, JJ?
7. You were very close. It is 7. And the next closest, I believe, is 6, and it's Justin Verlander. And a lot of people.
Now that's not surprising.
No, that's not, and that's what I said. When they threw the question out there on Get Up, it was on Get Up, and I go, the obvious answer is Justin Verlander, but I'm going to go a little deeper, and I'm going to say Felix Hernandez because he was an opening day starter longer than Verlander was. He's been an opening day starter at Seattle. He's been their ace since I can remember. So that's what made me think Felix Hernandez. So those are going to be the X factors, Lou. It's going to be Cole Hamels and Felix Hernandez. What can Cole Hamels give the Braves? What does Felix Hernandez do? If they solidify the back end of that bullpen, they get Fried, Newcomb, and Ian Anderson, one of these other guys, Fulton-Evich. If they can get one of these guys to go, if Fulton-Evich can revert back to his past, this is a sleeping giant in terms of pitching. I mean, these young guys could take a step forward. I personally think the Braves should win the division.
Well, you know what, KJ? Hey, Lou, what I was going to say is I pick Atlanta too, but, obviously the pitchers, the Braves are not going to score as many runs this year because they're not going to play in as many games. And two, when JJ mentioned the point about Hernandez or Verlander, Verlander was the horse wasn't the horse. And Detroit immediately in 06, even though he became the horse during that season, Kenny Rogers was the opening day starter for the Tigers.
Oh, yeah.
Felix's career started in 05, and you'd have to sit here and look. I don't know if he started on opening day in 06 or not. That was something I was still looking up when JJ was talking. But their careers started relatively at the same time. And that's a great trivia question because he had 7, and like JJ said, Verlander had 6. So, to put that in perspective, we've all said starting pitching will be critical, but maybe even relief pitching may be more critical because the starters are going to be really cramming. Where the relievers have the ability to throw more on a daily basis, they have the ability to cram more. What else? Your last question, then I got to get to our next caller.
You were mentioning Get Up. You mean by the ESPN morning show?
Yep. Yes, correct. JJ,
I'm more into First Take. Sorry, I'm more into First Take.
All right, well, that's okay. Lou, thanks for calling. Shout out your show real quick, and we'll get on to our next caller.
All right, the Enhanced Sports Show, Saturdays 5 to 7 East Coast time. The number is 512-543-4662. And remember, guys, we are still on the air despite the coronavirus. We're going to give it all we got, even if it kills me.
We'll be tuned
Gee, thanks,
in,
Lou. That's a nice pun. So anyway, Lou, thank you for calling from New Jersey. I was going to say, you know what, JJ, as Jamie Gertz said, the co-owner of the Atlanta Hawks, there's no spare to square. There's not one here in Atlanta. There's not one in San Francisco, and there's surely not one in Jersey. We're all looking to see that, to get that extra 2-ply in our homes. The only way you can get it now is you can order it, and it's very expensive through other companies. Let's see, we have Wayne in Memphis. Wayne, how about you? Can you spare a square?
Absolutely not.
There's no spare to spare for you, not even 2-ply, correct?
Not even 2-ply. I mean, I've got some shop towels out there. You could run through those, but that
good old terry cloths.
Right.
Well, I was going to say real quick, I'm sorry, JJ, that was interesting you mentioned terry cloth because, back in the day, when babies didn't have the diapers they have today, they actually used the terry cloth, and boy, oh boy, that was not good.
Yeah, well, you had to do laundry a lot more often, I'll say that.
Yeah, either that or you just can't take it, and you've got to toss it in the trash, and you're spending more money on terry cloth. But anyway,
right.
we've established that, the terry cloth, and there is no square to spare. Lou, Wayne, what's on your mind this evening?
Well, the American Athletic Conference had a meeting up in Rhode Island, where their headquarters is, and they've determined that the college athletics sports in the American Athletic Conference is going to be canceled for the remainder of the academic year. So no more sports in, our conference just through summer. And they've made that decision, probably because if it was amended, it would be amended so much that would encroach onto other sports. So,
well, they canceled all the spring sports, and actually, the kids that do play spring sports, the NCAA just passed. They can all come back next year if they choose to do so. They will not do that for fall and winter sports because the fall sports was completely played, and the winter sports was about 95% played. So yes, that's true in regards to all NCAA sports, and the schools closed here in our county for the rest of the year. I think that's actually for the entire state of Georgia. The Governor Brian Kemp put that out today. So JJ, no more school, man.
Yeah, no more school down here. It's 100% lockdown. I think it's like I said, it's the right move. I just hope that these precautions take into effect, and we can start getting back to somewhat normal life in the next maybe hopefully month or two. So we'll see what these things continue on. I mean, the closings are going to continue, cancellations are going to continue. We just hope for the best, and hopefully the precautions we're taking, again, I know it sounds like a broken record, but hopefully they can take into effect and maybe stop the curve.
Yeah,
Well, let's
well,
hope so.
interestingly enough, for my day job, I do airport surveillance and runway analysis, and one of my clients exclusively flew sports teams year round, charter, for professional sports teams, and they pretty much had to go into hiatus because there's no teams to fly.
Yeah.
So that's something that's crossed from sports over into aviation. And the only other thing I want to mention is, a couple of weeks ago, or maybe a couple of months ago, y'all had some people on from Flow Sports. Do y'all remember that?
Yes.
Flow Sports. I do play-by-play for Flow Sports. I do
Right.
play college Division II college football.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that they broadcast and do is Drum Corps International. They've got a special division called Flow Marching, and I think the DCI championships and the whole DCI season may be close to getting canceled too. So that's a music related thing that's kind of connected to sports because it's handled in a sports type of way.
It's all connected, Wayne. I'm JJ and I both agree with that. Everything's connected now. And, you hate to see anything canceled, especially something like that. Music's really important, and it's important to a lot of people. And really in society, it has just as much as importance as sports.
Yeah. Well, all of the music that I've been involved with when I was in junior high, high school, and college was as a part of a marching band, which was there to support the sports team. So most of my music has been in support of sports. Now I'm just a YouTuber on my free time. So, there's no sports involved in that, except for I tend to have some sports gear on my head or in the background when I'm doing my thing.
Wayne, any other thoughts before we have to let you go?
Well, no, y'all just take care of yourself down there and do what you need to stay safe.
Hey,
Wayne,
you as well, Wayne. And hey, Wayne,
right.
Go ahead and shout out for our listeners who may want to hear your music, your YouTube channel.
Well, you just go on to YouTube there and look for RWY Junior or my name, Wayne Ridenauer. If you do a YouTube search for that, it'll come up with all of my guitar nonsense. And I'm doing a little bit of a vlog called Talking from My Back Seat, which is, just me sitting in the back seat of my car for about 5 minutes talking about stuff.
Well,
you know what? I like it too. And I know you and Cassie Fox communicate a lot. And I know she has a lot of interesting music too. You guys are quite talented. JJ and I really appreciate all you do for our show. You tweet a lot for us. You always call in, and we just appreciate everything. And I want you and your family to stay safe, and our prayers go out to you and your family. And thanks for calling in and listening to the show.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate what y'all do too.
Thanks,
Thank
Wayne.
you.
That goes for all of our callers, each and every one of them. So
That's right. Anyway, let's go ahead and go to our first topic. Kirk Herbstreit, he made comments about, I'll be shocked if we have NFL football this fall, or he said we'd be surprised if college football even happened. And, that's something. And then yesterday, the medical director of the NFL Players Association, Dr. Tom Myers, said, I'm very optimistic a full season will be played, but we will know for sure by June. JJ, what side are you on?
I tend to lean towards the doctor that you just mentioned. I mean, that's several months away. You're talking about Major League Baseball and NBA still trying to get back and playing regular seasons. So if they're still talking about playing games, why would the NFL even talk about missing games? So personally, respect given to your opinion, Kirk Herbstreit. I very much value your opinion as a college football analyst. But that's a crock, man. Honestly, that's throwing fuel on the fire to the panic, and I think that's the wrong situation to do it. If you live under a rock in the sports world, basically, folks, ESPN College Game Day analyst Kirk Herbstreit said just like TC mentioned, he would be shocked if the college football season occurs. And he also threw in NFL in there and some other comments. But Kansas State athletic director Gene Taylor wishes Herbstreit would have not said anything at all. In an interview with KMAN, which is in Manhattan, Kansas on Monday, Taylor said he was not ready to make any predictions about the season just yet, and he voiced his displeasure with Kirk Herbstreit. And I quote, "I appreciate Kirk becoming a medical doctor and telling us what we should or shouldn't do," Taylor said in the interview, but I'm not ready to get there yet. I'm certainly am hopeful that if we maintain the recommendations of some medical personnel, he calls them folks, and stay away from one another and be careful and not do any public events and crowds, maybe life in 60 to 90 days will be at a point where we can bring back kids to campus and at least practice sometime in July. I think a lot of coaches feel that if we had a 10 or 12 day, 14-day reacclimation period, that could get caught up in fall camp and early in August. So if he's saying this as an athletic director, and this is months in advance, he knows something. I'm sure he's looking forward to every precaution he can take to make sure that football happens, because we're going to talk about what happens if football doesn't get played later in this show. And that could be a bigger problem for like half of these FBS schools that you watch on an every Saturday basis, folks. So you better believe Kirk Herbstreit's comments are rubbing a lot of people the right way. I tend to lead AD Taylor's way. Let's see what social distancing does. I've said it over and over again. Let's see what it does, because now each state's going down to a mandatory lockdown. Let's see what this does in 60 to 90 days and get back to it. Penn State linebacker Micah Parsons, he tweeted no way in response to Kirk's comments. So this is a big deal. It's made its way around. I think it's way too early overall, Kirk Herbstreit, to say that there won't be a college football season.
JJ, you made a lot of valid points. I would counter some of them politely by saying that when Urban Meyer has been on numerous stations saying that Kirk Herbstreit is not out of line saying it, because he said that, if this virus is still kicking in June and July, which is very possible, according to the doctors that get on the television every day at approximately 5:15 p.m. Eastern, standing with Donald Trump, and they said, the doctors, and of course they said that this possibly could go on. Urban Meyer says, it takes 8 weeks to go through the college to get these college kids ready to play college football. So if you do the Urban Meyer timetable and these kids aren't practicing by July 1st, when September 1st rolls around or late August, they're not ready to play at their maximum potential, says Urban Meyer. So he's saying that Herbstreit's comments are not online and they're well thought of, and he's trying to do it for the protection and the safety of the players.
I mean, I see where he's coming. I do. But I mean, you're going to tell me in one of the most advanced countries in the world that we're not going to make progress in 60 to 90 days? China even did that. Italy's even making advanced progress over a 60, 90-day period. The news isn't going to tell you that. The media is not going to tell you that. But people are being healed in Italy and China, where they was affected the most, besides us. Now, the United States of America just surpassed everybody in cases. So,
well, JJ, can I make a point real quick? I'm real sorry to tell you, but they said today on the news, and this is not a political show, we're going to get right back to the sports real quick, that China has not been exactly, honest with their numbers.
Not at all.
And they've skewed them greatly. So whatever China's telling me, I'm not believing right now anyway. And
Sure.
with Urban Meyer saying that it takes 8 weeks to get these kids to properly play college football, if it's not ready by July 1st, then they're going to have to knock off, as some of the season will not be played according to him. Now, that could be possible more so than Kirk Herbstreit's comments, that they may, knock off a game or two, and the money would still be there at the end of the year for the safety of the players.
I hear you. I mean, I do, and they're valid points, and I'm not disagreeing. But I just think with the advancement of medicine overall, I think in 60 days, let's give it till June 1st. If at June 1st, we are still not seeing any significant decrease in cases,
then it's a
death
problem.
rates going up, then I would worry about that. But to go out and say before April is when the comments were stated that you don't think there'll be a college football season, you'd be shocked if there was.
He's putting the cart before the
saying.
horse.
I'm not saying, but I just think this early, come on.
Yeah.
He's saying it there's young gentlemen that this is their last season. We've already seen tons of seniors crying, devastated. My little cousin plays high school softball. She is devastated because their team started out extremely well. They canceled the season, and her seniors, they'll never get to play with them again. And I
was calling play-by-play for Emory softball, and it's all done.
It's all done. So if he's going out early on in March and saying there's no hope, there's doom and gloom and this and that.
Well, I don't think he's saying there's no.
Let's see what happens June 1st, ladies and gentlemen. If by June 1st we have not beaten the curve or nothing has gotten better, then I will go ahead and say let's cancel the NFL season, the college football season, because this is a bigger pandemic than anybody ever imagined.
In other words, he put the cart before the horse, and you're saying he put the cart before the horse, and maybe he did, but I think it was comments like Urban Meyer said was to the safety standpoint, and he wanted to get everyone's attention. This is an attention getter, and the safety of the players, like Urban Meyer said, is prominent along with Herb Street. I think that's why more than anything, he made those comments. And right now, like you said, let's wait until June 1st and then go ahead and make that decision. Let's move on to our next topic. The 32 NFL owners yesterday voted in favor of expanding the playoffs. And what do you think? Well, they didn't vote. The NFL owners approved of expanding the playoffs. So they've already voted. I guess they have voted. That's good enough for me. They've gone ahead and done that. They're expanding the playoffs to 14 teams, 7 in each conference. JJ, your thoughts?
Yeah, I said voted because I was reading the article. I saw.
No, you're right. It's fine. Voted, approved. It's all the same thing.
I have no clue. We're not in that office. We're not one of the 32 richest men in the world, unfortunately. Well, and I think there's a lady in there. I think the Chicago Bears owner is a lady.
The Lions are owned by Martha Ford. That's another young lady.
That's two. So you're right. You're right. Correct. Two NFL lady owners, the Bears and the Lions. Actually, two of the oldest franchises. Kind of.
And also, Martha Ford is the oldest owner in the NFL. She's in her 90s.
Yep,
So,
I do. And I do believe I can't think of her name right now, but the owner
Martha Ford Firestone is in their 90s and in excellent health for her age. So what do you think of the format, man?
Yeah, no, cool little side story there, a little history of the league. NFL playoffs will be including 7 teams from each conference this year. No more bye weeks for the second seed. Just the number 1 seed is going to be more coveted now. You're going to have 3 games on Saturday, January 9th, 2021. You get 3 games on Sunday, that 10th. That's going to be all wild card weekend. So you're going to see 2 play 7. 3 plays 5, and 3 plays 6, and 4 plays 5. So you're going to see a lot more action. What I think is pretty cool about this format is it looks like 10 wins is going to guarantee you a playoff spot. In this format, since the league, and by the way, folks, another quick tidbit, the league hasn't expanded the playoffs since 1990. So it's been almost it's been 30 years.
30 years.
30 years. So going by this format, but basically 10 wins is going to get you in the playoffs, folks. The only 10-win team that would have missed the playoffs in this format would have been the 2010 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So last year you would have seen Seattle and
Pittsburgh,
the Rams. Not Seattle.
Pittsburgh would have made the playoffs in the East and the AFC with an 8-8 record.
Yep. I was thinking S for Steelers, but I said Seattle. Steelers.
That's all right. I know what you meant.
So it's going to be fun. And then the owners are going to also probably put in that extra regular season game, not this year, but probably next year. That will be voted on too. So they expand the playoffs. Overall, I like it. I think it's gonna have more meaningful football in the regular season. You'll see teams like, hey, prime example, Atlanta went 6-2 down the stretch last year. If a lot
They
of
still wouldn't have made it.
they wouldn't have made it, but they would have been in it a lot
Closer.
longer than they were. So
Closer.
it's going to make things more interesting whether your team's 1-7 at the 8-week mark or 7-1.
That's right. It will make interesting. Those are all good points. Myself, we all know what drives the playoff system in the NFL, and we all know why they did it. One word. Well, four words.
Me,
the
money.
The money.
Show me the money.
Exactly. It's all about more money. It's more money for the players, more money for the owners. Cost certain fans more money because they'll have to pay for their teams, playoff tickets if they want to go see them. But you're right. These teams do last longer. More teams are in it. It was a matter of time when the NFL was going to do it. Now that they've done it, I guarantee you're only going to have 3 preseason games and maybe even 2. I don't know if they'll give up that second gate of the preseason game, but they'll definitely have 3 games, JJ. And the play, that's interesting. The 2 seed doesn't get that bye anymore. And boy, that means players aren't going to be sitting out as much like in the last week of the regular season anymore.
No, not at all. You'll see that 1 seed much more coveted. You're in the 2 spot. Usually you can kind of take a break. Hey, you know what? I can't catch that 1 seed. The 3 seed can't catch me. Last week of the season, let's take a break. That's not going to happen.
Nope.
You're not going to see that anymore. The 2 seed's going to try and get that 1 seed as much as possible, vice versa, all the way around. Seeding is going to mean a lot. I think with this format, you'll see a lot more upset wins in the first round too.
I don't agree with that. I think the 7 seed and 9 times out of 10 is going to get their brains beat out because the Steelers would have got slaughtered by the Chiefs this year. I don't think that's going to happen.
Most likely, but you get an NFL head coach the right amount of time. But we mentioned the 3 games on Saturday, 3 games on Sunday, and this is just kind of another point. But another broadcaster I was listening to mentioned, what if they flex a game out to Monday Night Football for the playoffs on that wild card weekend? Wouldn't that be?
That means I got to listen to Booger McFarland and
No, they're gone. Remember, they dropped them. They're looking for a new crew.
Well, you know what? That doesn't necessarily. It's been quiet. I can see them bringing them back for what's going on. I mean, I guess they have dropped him, but they haven't replaced him with anybody yet. So it is possible they can bring him back. But you're right. There would be another Monday Night Football game, which, Monday Night Football, it's just not the same. It surely wasn't the same when I was a kid watching it on a black and white TV when I would sneak to stay up in my room at night before my mom would climb up the stairs to see if I was actually awake. And I had to click off the black and white TV real quick and get back in the covers before she would see me. But anyway, I would flick on. It was in black and white, and it was with Howard Cosell, Dandy Don Meredith. I mean, it was just so cool, Monday Night Football back then. It meant more because you didn't get the highlights of the games from the previous day until the halftime of Monday Night Football. It's just so totally different today. And you're younger than me, so you didn't get to experience that.
No, I didn't. Those were the golden days. I got some good broadcasters on Monday Night Football. Tessitore's not bad.
He is a good broadcaster. He is. He's a really good broadcaster.
Yeah, Witten made his mistakes, but honestly, when Jason Witten, you look past the mistakes, he was actually not that bad.
And I like Booger McFarland. Everybody bangs on him. I don't think that's fair. That's a really hard job to do.
Sure.
And when you're doing it for, he does SEC and stuff like that. You're on Monday Night Football. It's a different lights and a different stage. We're getting ready for Debbie the Texan to call here, the Fan Zone. I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, she is a big-time football fan. She's one of the biggest football fans that I came across on Twitter. And she drove 26,000 miles to every Texans game in 2015. She says she'll do it again. She was a Texan cheer judge in 16, 17, and 18. We're waiting for her to come on the show. You can call us real quick at 678-280-7123, and you can talk whatever you want to talk: NFL, Major League Baseball, NHL, NBA, NASCAR. We don't care. Just call us. This show's about you, the fan. Call us at 678-280-7123 as we wait for Debbie, the Texan. And JJ, let's go on to our next topic. And if she comes on, we'll bring her on and we'll finish the topic after we're done. We have Bleacher Report article. One anonymous athletic director said, "We will be bleeped if the 2020 college football season is canceled." What are your thoughts about that AD in that article, JJ?
Boy, you read that article and you wish you could know at least. You don't want to know at least which conference the school is in, because then you can get an idea of where the AD is coming from. But man, that is serious. That just goes to show you how football impacts all of college sports. It could fund every school's athletic facility from one sport. That's pretty much how it is at Southern Cal. It's pretty much how it is at Notre Dame and a lot of other big-time football schools across the country. So I retweeted the article. If you want to read the article while you listen, it is on ATL Prime Sports. That's ATL Prime Sports on Twitter. Look up. I retweeted about 2 o'clock Monday, I believe, 2 o'clock Tuesday. Look back through our tweets. You'll be able to find it. Basically talks about the financial impact of football and what it would mean if the fans weren't in the stadium for some schools. Football carries a lot of schools' weight. Like I said, this is going to be an impact to talk about. And I mentioned it earlier, and we're going to revisit this. If football is not played, like Kirk Herbstreit said, you're going to see a lot of FBS schools biting their nails, because that TV contract's not going to come in for the conference, and that team may struggle, and they may have to forfeit scholarships, things like that. That's how serious it could get if college football is not played. So that's why I think a lot of players kind of side with me against Kirk Herbstreit and going ahead and completely speaking out against the college football season. To me, it's just too early to do that. This is why, because the financial impact would be so brave. You may see some FBS programs, I don't know. The article kind of abruptly ended, but it seems like some of these schools wouldn't be able to survive if they didn't have a college football season.
You're correct. Survival, it would be the key word in that sentence, because football not only funds every sport. It funds all of them except for basketball. They make so much money in football, especially with these huge Division I, 5 power schools. It funds all the other sports like swimming, tennis, cross country, baseball, softball, you name it, it funds it. And you know what? And also, this would be sad. It would be the first season without football in decades. Some programs, they suspended their teams and their programs and their schools during World War II. Georgia, they haven't suspended play since World War I. I mean, think about that. And these effects can last beyond 2020. You lose all that money. What are you going to do with the other sports? You can't play them. It would, like JJ said earlier, it would have a trickle-down effect.
Absolutely.
It would have a trickle-down effect. And we'll get to Debbie. Debbie's with us. Debbie, we'll get to you in a minute. We're going to finish this topic. And thanks for calling in. We'll get to you in 1 minute. Just think about it. It's going to be a trickle-down effect, and you won't be able to play any of these sports. And just think, what about the eligibility relief for spring sports? That happened, but they won't be able to do it. They won't be able to do it if there's no football in the fall.
Exactly.
Talk about that.
What's good? That's going to be a big, huge impact. I think, and I think the AD who used the expression in the topic that we're talking about right now is kind of right. I'm sure at some point that we will know who may have said that, or at least what conference it came from. But that is a FBS coach we're talking about. And again, folks, if you go and look at the ATL Prime Sports Twitter account, the article was based off of a report that Brent McMurphy did from his new digs, the Stadium magazine, or stadium.com. Brent McMurphy did the article. Really cool. My final thought on it is, man, let's just hope that we can beat this virus in a timely manner, because not having college football,
it would be awful. Just think, JJ.
I can't picture a world where that makes sense.
The NCAA surely would stretch the eligibility relief to include fall athletes. So, and they would give another year of eligibility. But as we always say, it's about the money. And if you don't have the money, what's going to happen? Now, schools like Georgia, Michigan, Alabama, Tennessee, Ohio State, they'll survive.
Mm-hmm.
They'll survive.
Florida States, they'll survive.
But the schools
will survive. But Tulsa, or maybe, and I'm not saying Tulsa wouldn't survive. I'm just giving you a smaller school for
Central Michigan, Eastern Michigan. Yes, those schools would have a big problem. Any year mid-majors would have a big problem. What's that?
It's Liberty, Georgia State, schools like that.
Right. It would just be a huge trickle-down effect. And I tell you what, it would be awful scary, because you might not see an NCAA tournament again next year. Think about that. You might not see a college baseball World Series. I mean,
and we're already talking about reshaping. And I know this is kind of going to a different subject, but the NBA is starting to talk about reshaping the calendar year, starting it possibly in December.
And we can talk about that in our next topic.
Exactly. That's a different day. But final thought: a season where no college football would be played would be depressing, and I wouldn't want to see it. TCL,
no, nobody would not. So anyway, you will talk about that in our final topic tonight. We have Debbie the Texan on the line.
Hello.
Debbie, welcome to ATL Prime Sports. How are you today?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
You know what? You have made history as a sports fan. You drove 26,000 miles to every Texans game in 2015. You said you're going to do it again. And you were also a Texans cheer judge in 16, 17, and in 18. And, this really has put a lot of fame for you out there on Twitter. You've got a lot of followers who really like you, and your chat drives a lot of traffic. And, your followers like you. It seems like the Texans really like you. You're a season ticket holder, and et cetera. And Debbie, tell us what it was like to drive 26,000 miles to every game. And how did you get started? Were you a Dallas Cowboys fan before you were a Texans fan?
Actually, I was not a Cowboys fan. I wasn't even a football fan, actually. I had been to one Oilers game in my whole life. I wasn't really a big fan of football until the Texans started. And my daughter, she was in junior high at the time, and she's a huge football fan. And she said, "Mom, I think we need season tickets." I said, "Well, all right." And then they were building up the hype, obviously, in Houston. I got excited to be there from the start. So I said, "Yeah, let's do it." And that's how it all started. So it was exciting. It still is exciting. Every time I walk into NRG, it feels like the first time I've ever been there. And it's just amazing, amazing. So my ex-husband, actually, when we were together, he had a stroke. And when he woke up from his coma, we had been together over 10 years. Well, we had our 10-year anniversary, and he didn't know who I was. So after that, I just kind of reevaluated my life and kind of said, you really have to live your life to the fullest. And that's how the whole following the Texans started. I said, you really got to go for things in life. And that's how that all started. So I've just been following my dreams throughout life, and following the Texans was something I wanted to do. Check that off my bucket list. But now that I did it, I want to do it again. Hopefully that'll happen. It'll happen. I just don't know when. So, yeah.
You're listening to Debbie the Texan right here on ATL Prime Sports. Debbie, it's good to have you back on. You're a diehard Texans fan, as we've mentioned. What do you think of the Nuke trade to Arizona for David Johnson?
Well, I love D-Hop. Oh my God, I can't say enough good things about him on and off the field. So I'm really sad that he's not with us any longer. But I'm not the owner. I'm not the GM. I'm not the coach. So I don't make the decisions on who we keep and who we stay with. So I just have to back the Texans no matter who they have on their team. That's my attitude. I know it's
Very
not
optimistic.
Wow, I tell you what, I was stunned that you gave that answer. And
Me
I bet
too.
AJ was stunned too, because your followers are going crazy over the trade. You just kind of you weren't as laid back on Twitter as you are right now. So you stunned me with that answer.
Oh gosh, I if I can't find a solution to a problem, I just have to let it go and let it be. So I'm just going to have to work with what we've got and move forward.
That's exactly what Bill O'Brien is doing. He made the trade, like JJ said, for David Johnson and a 5th-round draft pick. I'm not a Texans fan. JJ's not one. But I tell you what, I lost some hair. I couldn't believe he did it. And then, I've got to ask you, the cryptic tweets coming from,
right.
Well, coming from Deshaun's account didn't fuel, all that did was fuel the fire.
It did. I'm not going to say I wasn't disappointed. I'm not going to say I didn't cry about it, but I was hurt. I was really hurt when that happened. I was really sad to see D-Hop go. He's amazing. So, I was very disappointed, but like I said, I had to let it go and move forward.
Well, I'm glad you have. Most of the fans have not. They all want Bill O'Brien's head because he's the GM and the coach, and he has a pretty good record with Houston. He had a good record when he took over for Penn State after Joe Paterno was let go, and then he passed away. He took a Penn State program that was basically dead and did a fantastic job, and then moved on to the NFL. That's a tough situation, and now he's got to deal with this. Something had to happen between O'Brien and the player, Hopkins in this case, for him to get rid of him. Something had to happen. We've only gotten one side of the story. That's Hopkins. We haven't gotten anything from O'Brien. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm going to have to agree with that. I'm sure something did happen, and I don't think we'll ever find out what did actually go down. I don't know. I have no idea. Yeah, I know a lot of people aren't going to be fans until he's gone. I can't do that, but I know a lot of people are upset, angry, and they said they're not coming back till he's gone. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully we'll get to start the season on time, and we'll find out then. I guess I'll still be here.
Hey, speaking like a true fan, Debbie the Texan here on ATL Prime Sports. I love it. I'm a diehard Falcons fan, so I'm right there with you. Speaking of your stadium out there, NRG, you may think it's beautiful, but Falcons fans, believe me, we think it's the devil, okay? So we all know why. I'm not going to bring up 20.
Yeah, we won't bring that up. I was there. That was sad.
That was something that shattered my heart to this day. I want to ask you, I retweeted it today. You won Super Bowl 54 tickets. How was that like? Your reaction said it all to me.
Oh, I was shocked. I was so excited. I was like, of course I wanted the Texans to go because we were doing so well. I drove up to KC for the playoff game in freezing cold weather, and I just knew the first few minutes of the game we had that game. We had it, and then our dreams were crushed right there in front of me. But that was awful. But but I did win Super Bowl tickets. I took my sister. My daughter couldn't make it. My daughter is my BFF, but she couldn't make it this time. So I took my sister. We had a great time, and I thanked the Texans. Of course, I was repping. I don't know if you saw my picture. I was repping the Texans the whole time. I was in Texans gear all week long. Of course, everything I did, everywhere I went, I was repping the Texans. They'll be there soon enough. They will. I know we will. It's going to be a matter of time, but we'll be there, and I'll be there to rep them.
Well, hopefully it's the Texans versus the Falcons, and we can maybe battle it out and have you back on for it.
Oh, geez. Which team is going to blow the big lead is what I want to know. Which team is going to blow the bigger lead, the Falcons or the Texans? The Texans had Kansas City beat 24-0, and they got outscored 41-7. Atlanta was up 28-3 with 17 minutes left. You aged in your game, Debbie. JJ really aged in his game. But I'd say I've seen you and I've seen him. You look way better than he does. He aged.
Thank you.
So,
it was a heartbreaker.
What were you thinking when they blew that game? Did you go back to the Super Bowl and go, wow, our team's just like the Falcons?
No, well, actually, I cried a couple of tears. I shed a few tears on the way home. I drove. I don't know if you remember. It was like a ice storm on the roads, and they're like, "Don't stay in your home." Not like we are now, but the roads were icy and whatnot. And my friend Steph and I, we were crazy enough to drive over there. So we had about 17 hours to think about it on the way home. But anyway, but at the Super Bowl, it was nice because I thought, well, you know what, we lost, but at least we lost to the Super Bowl champs. So you can't feel too bad about that, can you?
No, you can't. And Debbie, JJ asked a question about, winning the tickets. Please tell me how you won those tickets. I know how you won the tickets. Tell the audience how you won them.
Well, actually, I've been in a few promos for the Texans, and they invited me up to their offices. And so I thought I was going to be in a promo video for playoff games. And so I went up there, and we're just, talking and whatnot. And I was reading, the cue cards saying, promoting the Texans like I always do. And next thing you know, the cue card said, and I just won tickets to the Super Bowl. And I was in shock because I didn't realize they were filming right when I got there, and I had no idea that was going on. So it was a total surprise and shock to me. I said, "Oh my God!" And because we were doing so well, I just knew we were going all the way. So I said, "I'm going to see you there, Jackson." But didn't turn out that way this time. It'll happen, like I said. But I was really grateful for the Texans for I volunteer a lot and whatnot. I guess they noticed that I do a lot for the Houston area community, whatnot. And I do like to volunteer, and they were just appreciative of me of being a fan. So
I understand you're a school teacher, and here in Atlanta, they canceled school for the year here in the state of Georgia. Have they done that in Texas yet?
They have not. It's canceled up until May 4th.
May 4th. Okay.
May
and that
4th,
could be next. And you do a lot for the community. You did mention that. When do you plan on making the next 26,000-mile trip? 1, and 2, where are your season tickets?
Well, first of all, 1, they're in the end zone, and 2, as soon as I can save up enough money to do that. I actually wasn't working at the time. I took off to do this, actually. Actually, my ex and I, we moved to a different city at the time. So I was in between a school year, so I had taken off for that time. So I had some time off, and that's why I got to do that. And it was just such an amazing experience. I sat in the front row at every single game, drove to every single game. One week we went to Jacksonville on the 18th of October, and the following weekend they were playing the 25th. They were playing in Miami. So about 50 of us went on a cruise between the two games because it was less expensive to go on a cruise for a week than it was to drive back to Houston and drive back to Miami the following weekend. So it was an experience of a lifetime. Yeah, it was amazing. So I had my van at that time. I don't know if you saw my van on my cover page, but I had my van and I would take other fans. Yeah, that was amazing. It was fun. It was.
Well, I tell you what, that's a lot of oil changes, Debbie. That's a lot of gas. That's a lot of stretching at a rest area. And the way the country is right now, I'd go do it myself if we would get rid of this virus.
No doubt.
I would do that myself without a doubt. Debbie, it's been a real pleasure to have you on our show. You're the ultimate fan, and we have elected you the fan of the year in the NFL. And I hope the Texans give you season tickets on the 50-yard line because you deserve it.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. You have a good evening.
All right, you too. That was Debbie Texan out of Houston, Texas, the ultimate NFL football fan who drove 26,000 miles in 1 year to see the Houston Texans play. JJ, that's a feat. I don't know if any Falcon fans ever done that. Do you?
Yeah, I'd love to be the first. Sign me
You
up,
know what?
Arthur.
I could see you doing it. I could see you doing it in 3 heartbeats. I could see you doing it.
God,
But
I'd
not
love
right
to do
now.
it. I love the Falcons. Golly, Debbie, I really like Debbie because she's like me. I'm a diehard Falcon fan, folks. I think you've known that listening through the years. But this is an absolute joy for me to hear a fan following what she's always wanted to do and follow her team. And it just brings so much joy. And in a time like this, stories like that is what we need. It's one of the reasons why we brought Debbie on again. Great to hear from her. It was amazing catching up. What a wonderful interview. TC, I think we got one more quick topic.
We do, and it was a wonderful interview, and she has the same ache you have, except yours was done in the Super Bowl and hers was done earlier. Oh my gosh, can you and you know, speaking of the Texans real quick before we go on the topic, Deshaun Watson has 2 years left. If I'm the Texans now that I made this trade and I lose Hopkins, I do get Randall Cobb. I'm trying to sign left tackle Larry Tunsil. You know, you lost Javon Clowney. You did sign Tim Jerrigan to a 1-year deal. You lost DJ Reader to the Bengals. You know, Jerrigan, big loss. He teamed up with Fletcher Cox and won the Super Bowl with the Eagles a couple of years ago against New England. Right. And they need Will Fuller and Kenny Stills to step up. And, you know, they need to sign Deshaun Watson to make him happy. And they need to find a wide receiver in the draft to make him happy. And this will all go away. But until then, I bet he's a ticked off camper. And I can understand, but we only have one side of the story. We only have Deshaun Watson's. We don't have Bill O'Brien's. So, you know, everybody can criticize him for giving him a barrel of baseballs and a bat to trade him, or footballs in this case, and a tee for this great player. But you know, DeAndre Hopkins, but we don't know the other side of the story. And, you know, I like Debbie's response. I don't know the other side of the story. I'm just a fan. I'm going to root for the team. I thought that was good.
I pride Debbie for the fact, because, you know, I'm like Debbie. And you know I'm like that. For any trade that happens with the Falcons, I'm optimistic until it doesn't work.
Right.
Until it doesn't work. The Texans need a running back. David Johnson's a young guy. 2 years ago, we thought he could have been the best in the league. You're talking about a guy out of northern Iowa. That was a Tom Brady-like pick. Late in the draft, running back, beats out the guy, comes on this comes onto the show, comes into the league, top of the league, top of fantasy. Every fantasy owner wants him. Maybe a change of scenery is all he needs. Maybe a new team with a better offensive line. Maybe David Johnson.
And he needs to stay healthy more than anything else. Last year,
that too.
He only had 94 carries. So
yeah, that too. And you mentioned the health. Well, he definitely has a better offensive line in Houston, so maybe this trade could work out.
Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. We shall see. On to our final topic, Chinese basketball. And this is really sad. We had to end the night on a sad note, as well as other sports have been put on an indefinite hold. No doubt about it. How does this affect the NBA and the sports leagues around the world? What is the future of the NBA? I mean, all Chinese sports are postponed indefinitely, JJ. And gosh, I hate we saved this for last, but we did.
We did, but it needs to be talked about. They postponed their CBA, which is the Chinese Basketball Association, indefinitely. There's no plans to bring it back as of right now. Now, they definitely hope to play some games. There are some propositions being thrown around, which is bringing about I think there's 20 teams in the league. They're talking about bringing them to 1 or 2 cities and play the remainder of the league's 16 games, which is for each team, in empty arenas. And this is where that question kind of comes back to sports leagues around the world. The propositions that are being brought up in China are exactly the propositions that are going to be played out in America once Chinese sports are back up. Because once Chinese sports are back up and running, that's when you'll be able to see the model of how American sports could look in the near future. So the NBA is already talking about this because I think the CBA and the NBA work closely together, as we all know. So this is something to look forward to. And the USA could adopt these same measures.
It all, to me, comes back to obviously the curve, the health. It's not a good sign for the NBA. I can tell you this, China is ahead of us in the curve. They got the virus in the first place. To me, that's a bad sign for the NBA that we may not even have a season. Mm-hmm. They were going to try to do it the same way we're trying to do, isolate it, put it in different spots, and it's not working for them. That's a bad sign for the NBA. And, you can test these players all you want to death. You can keep them healthy and isolate them and keep them away from their families and, constantly keep them only certain medical personnel and the coaches and the players, but they still have contact from one another and they still came from their families and they still had to travel from where they're at to where they got to go, and they can easily get infected. So to me, this is a colossal problem, and it's not a good sign whether the NBA will be played this season or not. It's all linked together. That's why I'm not optimistic. I'm glad JJ is. I'm glad he's the opposite of me. He's younger than me, much younger than me, even though I look older than him. I'm just kidding. But I'm glad that you're optimistic. An older person is pessimistic. So as I am, especially when I look at the models in China. Well, we don't know if they're telling the truth. But if
that's another thing. These numbers are the numbers are out there. I don't know what to believe. So I'm being optimistic for that reason. We don't know. This is something that's unknown.
And I'm being pessimistic because they're not going to play. So that tells me there's still one hell of a problem going on over there. So. And they haven't been straight with us. So if they're not going to play, then definitely we're not going to be playing in July unless everybody stays at home. Hashtag stay at home, please. Yep. And just maybe we can get on to our lives and get this economy back going, because you've told me numerous times off the air, we've got to get this economy back going. And I agree, but we got to kill the curve before we get the economy back. Because if we started too soon, right? And if we started too soon, the next death count is going to make this one look like a party flavor. Yeah. I mean, it's just going to make it look awful. And you and I could talk politically all day that they should have gone ahead and shut the travel down in early February, even before the Super Bowl, which would have been a disaster, by the way, for sports. But it might have killed it off altogether, all travel, all domestic, all international, and we might be playing sports now. It's possible, but we don't know that, and the doctors don't know that. So, you can question the politicians all you want. They're late. I know they were late to the party. Everybody knows they're late to the party. Some were quicker than others. but the situation is what it is right now. And JJ, I'm just not optimistic that we'll have an NBA or an NHL season. And I know you are, and I'm glad you feel the way you do.
Well, it's the reason we have a good show going here, folks. My final thought is do stay inside. Do take these self-quarantines seriously. Social distance as much as possible. And if you know me, folks, personally, if you've listened to me, I'm a social butterfly. So it's really killing me right now. Folks, stay safe. Hunker down, especially you dog fans. Let's stay in. Let's we're in this together. Let's watch our sports, our old sports shows. I think I've watched the 87 finals, game 7, probably 6 times already. It's a great game. So I'm just ready for sports, but folks, stay safe, stay with your families, take advantage of the time when you're home. Remember, families first. TC,
It is families first. Well put, JJ. I agree. Hashtag stay at home. When in doubt, don't go out. When in doubt, stay away. Stay away.
Quarantine and chill.
Right, exactly. And I want to thank Debbie the Texan for coming on the show. I want to thank all our callers, Double T out of Atlanta, Lou out of New Jersey, and Wayne, a big contributor to the show out of Memphis. I want to thank Breck for running the board in San Francisco. I want to thank you, my partner. I hope you and your wife are, you're expecting to have a baby. I hope everything's good there and that everybody's safe in your family. And we're praying for your family out there. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next week. Good night, everyone.
Same time, same place. Get you one.